So today is the 2613th day. There isn't a day that I haven't thought of him, honestly. There isn't a day. You know, he was my first, so I, you know, did everything with him.
He was such a rule follower. Like, I used to almost try to make him be a rebel. He lived by the rules up until he was about 3 or 4, and then when Austin came along, stretching it a bit. They were so adventurous and loving. Boys, they loved their moms. There wasn't a lot of drama. There was fights. There was a lot of fights when they were little and even when they were older, but they got over it quickly. And they were really good friends.
His friends and my friends, we kind of all mingled together too, so no, he was always inclusive, and we would explore random ponds and lakes around the area. And he was always up for an adventure with me. Didn't matter, again, like what time of day it was, but it was awesome.
When he was a sophomore, he had his first seizure on the school bus. And we went to the hospital, and it was just a whirlwind of EEG, the neurologist. I typed into Google, "Can my child die from epilepsy?" And I did come across sudden unexpected death in epilepsy, and I saw that it was rare. I didn't really raise it again until I was with what would become his pediatric neurologist for the next couple of years. I said, I came across this in the literature. What is this? Oh, that is so rare. He's not at risk. I want you to put that right out of your head right now. That is not going to happen to Anthony. And I did, because she's the expert. So Anthony had a total of 7 seizures from the time he was diagnosed, which was like 15 years old and 11 months, to the time at 22. It was a Friday morning. Bobby and I went to work as usual. Anthony had just come off of a New Year's Eve weekend. He was working at a local hospital as a nurse's aide, which he loved. So he came home. It was around midnight. I think he talked with Austin a bit about a time that he was going to wake up. And when Anthony didn't wake up in the agreed upon time, Austin went in the room. And he turned on the light, and Austin just knew immediately. He left. He called me. He said, Anthony's not breathing. And I said, oh my God, Austin, did you call 911? I called 911, you need to come home. And in my head, I said, I think he died of SUDEP. And when I got here, all the emergency vehicles were outside, including the ambulance. My sisters were there. It was a pretty horrific scene.
There's days when it's real tough. I can't look at him. Some of his young pictures kills me. But someday I guess I'll see him. Hopefully. Yeah, he was such a good boy.
I remember buying a bunch of these little purple, like votive candles, and I gave them to all of my neighbors and said, like, hey, you know, would you remember Anthony with this? And I came home that night, and they had them like out on their doorsteps. So every house had a purple candle lit for Anthony. And I remember thinking, we are so loved.
So the general number that we cite for SUDEP is about 1 in 1,000. That's not a small number. When we're talking about millions of people having this condition, epilepsy, that is not trivial. The goal is that we identify it early, we figure out why it's happening, and we treat it as best as we can afterwards. But my goal is to work to a future where maybe we predict it ahead of time.
We are down in our zebrafish facility, and what our lab does is to study genes that we think might be positive of epilepsy. So I've been a clinician in the field for over 20 years, and Cure Epilepsy has been involved in SUDEP research for just as long. It was that seed funding from Cure Epilepsy, it came in the form of the Isaiah Stone Foundation, that led to now, a decade later, a massive study involving hundreds and hundreds of individuals and families. We're making some progress in a field that really didn't exist before, and I really do draw back to the mechanisms that Cure Epilepsy puts forward. The early career investigator ones, the Taking Flight Awards, the high risk, high reward grants like the one that we got, that let you sort of take the ideas that you get from looking around you and from looking at the people who are experiencing what they're experiencing, put that into a scientific proposal, and then take that literally to the bench.
So that's the sort of work that Cure Epilepsy has really funded all along. Now there's a more explicit, intentional effort to fund multidisciplinary teams, which I think is going to bring a lot of talent out of the woodwork.
We're in a moment where Cure Epilepsy and all of its partners can actually push this even further and push the research towards, here we don't want to cure, we want to prevent. And I think in this area of SUDEP, prevention equals cure, and that's what we're after.
In 2022 was the first walk for the memorial walk for Anthony. We had found Cure Epilepsy through friends that had donated to them, and then I sort of researched them and said, this is amazing, let's fundraise for them. And so Cure Epilepsy, their mission with the individualized, research-based, all of the grants that they get to study genes, to figure out who is most at risk for SUDEP. They've done so much work with SUDEP. So I just felt like their mission really aligned with our family and my personal mission to cure epilepsy. So I was really happy to find them and be able to fundraise and to honor Anthony in that way.
The goal of our research is not just to understand epilepsy and SUDEP, but really to make it go away. So a world in which we understood a lot of the phenomena going on leading to these risks, and a world in which we could completely eliminate SUDEP is the only one that we should accept.